Hey everybody, welcome back to SureFire Live. I'm coming to you from the road. I'm in a hotel room. Hopefully my connection is good. I got to get out this week and visit some of our other branch offices. I got to visit some of my buddies in Knoxville yesterday and visiting some people in Charleston today. So SureFire Live is mobile. Tonight is an exciting interview for me, especially because a lot of us have been in the industry a long time. And one of the guests tonight, Cody Whitwood, a couple weeks ago said, hey, it seems like there's a lot of guys, coming out of the industry, and we need to, do something for the newer guys in the industry. And they got cloned, branded the NOOBs, and I think it might stick. We said it was the new operators or new owners or operators in business. And last week we had the king of the NOOBs, which was John Caesar. And so really what it is what is next for the industry. As many people know, kind of started in the late 70s, got a lot of traction in the 70s and 80s to a certain degree. And a lot of us have been in the industry for that period of time. Well, clearly there is, and I say this a lot, but there was a time when we thought this industry was going to die. There was a time when we would go to the trade shows and the gatherings, and everybody's getting a little older, a lot of silver in the beard, a lot of aches and pains. And we're like, wow, I think this industry may go away. Well, there's been a resurgence in the industry, and there's a lot of new, exciting people in the business, whether they're managers, whether they're technicians, whether they're new owners. And tonight, I wanted to bring some of them that I know on and talk to them. I got a couple quick comments. John Caesar says, "It's chimney time. Let's get it." That's Cody's, and John said he'd pick up the baton and run with it. So Chad Murray says, let's see if the vision that has been trailblazed caught fire. Oh, I love that. And then Kyle says, hi, everybody. And here he is right here. John Caesar says, King Noob is present. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you, guys. Guys, this is an active conversation. If you are listening and you haven't been part of this, please fire back. I try to make this a conversation back and forth. I think that's one of the benefits of this series. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on these guys, and then hold on one more time. Alan Russ says he's excited for this one, so no pressure to my guests at all. So I'm going to bring my guys on here. We've got Jonah Lindley, we have got Cody Whitwood, we have got Jesse Ducette, and we have got Octavio DelaVega. Thank you, guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good.
Awesome. So Holden says, hi, hey all, and Dave Levitt says, sounds like a great show tonight. So, here's another noob saying hi, Michael Tinning. Right, Michael, I just met him at lunch. I met him at dinner a few minutes ago. He's a new operator for us down in Charleston. So, guys, I'm excited to talk to you. I want to ask a few questions, and I really want to get a feel. I'm first generation. I'm OG. I've been at it a long time. There's going to be a time we plant our flag and we hand off and we say, hey guys, go do good stuff. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about tonight. And let me start with, I'll just start across the top the way I've got it. Jonah and Timmy is still out in the field working. And Jonah, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us how you got in the chimney business. Later, I'm going to ask you guys more questions about what you like about it, what you think. But how does a young guy like you find the chimney business?
Okay. So I grew up in Chicagoland, and I had basically worked in all the different trades that I could. Instead of going to college, which I tried and did poorly at, I decided to just spend my time learning as much about the trades as I could. So I went bouncing, 9 to 12 months here, 9 to 12 months there, doing all the different trades. And then I got
real quick. Tell everybody what you do. So introduce yourself.
Okay, sorry. So I'm Jonah, the operations manager of Ashbusters in Knoxville, so the Knoxville branch. I've been working for Ashbusters. This will be my third year, going on 4 with Mark at Ashbusters.
So then you bounced around to some trades. How'd you wind up in the chimney business?
Well, I got sick of being laid off for 5 months every year. And so I wanted to move somewhere with a better climate for trades, and really just dumb luck is how I found Ashbusters in the chimney world. Because as soon as there's a funny story about me getting hired in, which we won't get into now. But when I finally did get hired in at Ashbusters, I figured out that this is where I wanted to be. I wasn't necessarily proud of being a chimney sweep right away, because anytime I told somebody that, they were like Mary Poppins, like what? Like that's a thing? And I'm like, well, it's a lot more than just sweeping chimneys. And once I got into the trade, I just love being in such a specialized field and being able to be an expert basically at my age. I feel like that's not something that a lot of other people can say. And this niche trade has given me the opportunity to do that. So I love it.
Yeah, great story. Yeah, a lot of people fall into it backwards, but they end up loving it sometimes. And now Timmy, which he's not joining us right now, he's 3rd generation chimney. His last name, I didn't know this till last night. His last name means Kneller means chimney sweep, and it's like, wow, he's destined. I was not destined. I was like you, Joan. I was not ready to be in the chimney sweep world. But okay, so next across the top, Cody, tell us about yourself. How'd you get in this business, and what do you like?
My name is Cody. I'm the sales manager for Master Services. I was actually district manager for DirecTV, and I just knew there wasn't another move for me. I actually was in school, and I needed a job that I could do and attend night school, and I didn't want to work, late shifts or anything like that. So I found a Craigslist ad looking for chimney sweeps. No experience necessary. Will train, send me your resume, send everything else. You've got to have some sales experience. And my literal reply was, my name is Cody. I can sell anything that you put in front of me. All I need is some basic information. And then I clicked send. And Chad called me and he said, did you not read the ad? I need a resume. I need references. And we talked for 2 hours. And that was 3 years ago. So I guess my first real sale for Master Services was myself. And we've been rocking hard ever since. And I'm smiling now, but even when I'm just watching this on Tuesday nights, I smile. I can't get enough of chimneys. I really can't. I've fallen completely face first into it.
You are all in, and all you guys that I invited to this show are just all in. You guys, every time I met Octavio several years ago, and from that moment, all in. I recently met Jesse. Jesse came to visit me, and you guys are all focused, and it's exciting. So I got a couple little quicks. Pam says Jonah is a rock star. Timmy Kneller says he's coming, so I'm going to have to say the thing about Timmy. It's better late than never is the is what we say with Timmy. So
Every day.
better late than never. Lyndon says the chimney goat. Michael Fazy, I don't know about this. Do the chimney dance, Cody. What's that?
I have no idea.
And then Chad says Cody is a real deal. Octavio is a Mason business genius. So that being said, I agree.
I know what Fazy is talking about with the chimney dance. I know. I teach all my trainees the dance moves, and I try to get customers and people involved in it. You know, if I can make somebody smile while I'm telling them they have a $9,000 estimate or a $20,000 estimate, it tends to go a little smoother. And so I always teach my trainees their dance moves, and it's the three main components of a fireplace: the firebox, the smoke chamber, and the flue. So I tell them, you know, get a little beat going, go firebox, smoke chamber, flue, firebox, smoke chamber, flue. So
I muted myself because we're having a little bit of feedback. That's brilliant, dude. That's awesome. I think that might catch on. So
yeah, hope so.
Yeah. So Octavio, tell us about yourself. How did you've got an amazing story. I know you haven't really told your whole story, but I think you are building one of the most amazing stories in this industry. But tell us how you found this industry.
Back in, so it started back in 1997 when I kind of fell into masonry, actually. I didn't go into the chimney world until, I don't know, 2003, 2002, 2003. And for me, it was after we got laid off from the union, you know, after being a bricklayer, which I never planned to be a bricklayer. I mean, no one in my family has ever done any manual labor, actually. You know, I just, once I started, my brother-in-law actually got me into masonry. And once I found it, I loved it. I fell in love with it. And when I was looking for a job, because I had never been without a job longer than a week. I stayed in one job pretty much since I started, you know, doing masonry, and that was it. I called around and I found this company in Illinois. They hired me, and the funny thing is, I was not part of the chimney sweep, you know, crews. I was actually a hearth guy, and so I loved it. I took my skill, and actually, I think I was really helpful, you know, to that company because we grew that division to a, you know, really big division. You know, back when I started, they weren't doing too good as far as, you know, masonry and fireplace installations, and I helped them grow that, and I became you know, a good part of the team, and they, you know, taught me a lot. Later, I had to move away because you know, my wife was from like Valparaiso, which is like about 45 minutes to an hour away from Illinois. Moved out this way. I was searching for a job, but couldn't find one. So I was just left with the only one choice, and that was, you know, to start my business. And, you know, I met you a couple of years after that, Mark. And ever since then, I fell in love with everything else. You know, I discovered a lot more stuff than what I already knew.
Right.
And masonry has been my passion. You know, I've done masonry since I was 17. So, you know, right now we Northwest Fireplace and Chimney, we do, you know, we handle big masonry projects, and, you know, anything that, you know, comes our way, you know, we feel like we can handle it. And that's a huge accomplishment because I never thought I could be, you know, a business owner.
Right. Yeah, that's great. You've got even a deeper story, and we'll get into it at some point. But so basically, you didn't know masonry until 1999 is when you kind of started it.
Right.
So thank you. So Jesse, tell us about you. You guys all have different backgrounds. How did you get into this business, and how long have you been in it?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of fell into it too. It wasn't something I sought after. To be honest with you, I was doing electrical, loved it, did the schooling. I really saw myself as always being an electrician. My boss kind of started veering off, going in a different direction. He thought drugs was an important part of his life. So I decided to give my 2-week notice. And I'd gone to my mother and father-in-law's house for dinner, which I had just gotten married at the time. They asked how work was going, and I told them I gave my notice. Not something you always want to tell your father-in-law, but that's pretty much how it went. And he's like, well, I'll hire you. And I had no clue what he did for work. He was in New Hampshire, we have a lot of like fire departments that are, you volunteer for. So he did that a lot. And so he started a chimney company. I did not know a thing about chimneys. I joke all the time, but the only thing about chimneys I knew was Santa went down them. And I'm like, people do that for work. It didn't make sense to me. So basically the way it started, I was supposed to start on a Monday. The Friday prior to, he got in a motorcycle accident and didn't work again in the field. And so when I showed up on Monday, my mother-in-law brought me out to an old rinky-dink van. It had some brushes, a vacuum. I didn't know how to read a map. So she's like, here's the list of houses you're going to. And I had no idea even how to get to these places. Didn't know what a flue was, didn't know what to sweep. I'm like, so none of it. So to make a real long story short, I realized that if I was going to do this, I needed to know what I was doing. So I quickly started looking up how anything about chimneys that I could, and I found CSIA. So I went out there, got certified, and ever since then, just haven't stopped on the knowledge side of things. I just keep trying to pursue that.
You got thrown right into the fire day one, but you were doing it to help the family and help out the business, and you just had to figure it out with no education. You just had to self-educate, and for years, that's what this industry was, a lot of self-education. Now it's neat to see how much education is out there. So thank you guys for the introductions. I want to ask you guys so Jonah runs an operation, Cody is a manager, Jesse's an owner, Octavio's an owner. Talk to me about, hold on. Chad says, Master Services old training method. It sounds like and honestly, I have to admit, I was like, okay, you can fog a mirror, get out in a truck, let's get some chimneys swept. It's not that hard. And I think everybody, if they're honest, probably has done that in the heat of battle. And we know that's not the way to do it, but sometimes life is pretty tough and you just got to get in. But we know there's a better way. So you guys are the next lot guys up. Tell us what the biggest problems you guys run into. And let me just go backwards. Let's start with Jesse this time. Jesse, you are an operator, and what's the biggest? I mean, I know hiring is the biggest problem, so let's just take that off the table. Everybody's going to say finding people. So let's go with what's the next step as you're growing a business and you're busy. What's the hardest thing for you?
The hardest thing. You can't use the hiring thing. Come on. No, seriously, to be honest with you though, I think one of the biggest things for me is really just finding what our actual niche is, and really just trying to stick with that. There's so many companies all around us, John was on last week. He's maybe 10 minutes away from my shop. He's great at what they do, and we have a very good working relationship with them. And it's like there's other companies like that around, and we all kind of have our niches, if you will. And for me, I'm like, I guess one of the hardest things is just not going out and doing jobs that really we're not, really set for. I don't know, I guess is that a good way to explain it, but for me, it was really just trying to figure out what are we passionate about, and what are we really good at, and kind of putting those two things together. Because ultimately, I mean, it comes down to cost for customers. And if something is so much work for me to do and it takes so much more time and we have to research it more and all that, and then we go to try and do it, it probably isn't going to be the best price for the customer just because of all the work that we have to put into it. So if we're able to really kind of hone in on what we're good at and really just try and help a customer in that area, and if not, like refer off our competitors, you know, who are more specific.
Do you think the hardest thing, are you saying like one of the hardest things is actually finding your niche, finding like trying to find your lane and staying in it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because ultimately everything comes down to, you know, how the business is running. And if you're just throwing dollars at jobs for no reason just to have them, to me, I would rather have the time at the end of the day than working late, just trying to make a certain kind of, you know, chimney built way or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, to me, I'm like, I try and really hone in on what we're good at, what we're passionate about, and where our knowledge is, and really just try and stick to that. But it is kind of hard because we have all kinds of customers that, well, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, you know, and then you have all like CSIA is always like, always try and throw in a dryer vent cleaning, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, so I don't know.
Good. I think finding your lane is super important. It helps you make more money. You have to say no, probably more than is comfortable sometimes, but sometimes that's exactly how you start going faster and better. So Octavio, I got you muted. Let me unmute you. What's the biggest challenge for you, young operator? And I know hiring. We will probably talk about hiring, but let's just say everybody has that challenge to a point. What is the next challenge of growing a business, managing it, leading it, marketing it, finances? Like, what is it for you?
Oh, well, I got a few things. You know, I hear, you know, everyone talk about knowing your numbers, and, you know, without that, you can't run a business. And I agree 100%. But, you know, as a technician, you know, knowing that and knowing that you can't do it is frustrating. You know, and for me, one of the hardest things to do has been, you know, knowing that you have to reach out to the people that can actually help you. And you know, in our industry, it's like amazing how anyone that you can, you know, talk to, you know, they'll be willing to give you any advice that they might have. So, you know, with that, it just takes me to training. For me, I call it my Frankenstein, because, you know, I listen to all of you guys, and like, I take all this good stuff, write it down, and I want to implement everything. And, you know, that's, as I put it together, it looks so ugly, but somehow we make it work. And, you know, to me, that's one of the biggest challenges, you know, discipline, you know, with the way I prioritize all those, you know, things that I want to implement. But you just can't do it because you're running so fast that, you know, you've got to make it happen as you go. So it's been challenging.
So a bit of it is a little bit of information overload. You're getting a lot of information from different sources, and they all sound good. And then you put it on your plate to put it together into you know, your company, and it's looking kind of ugly. Like, this part was from these guys, and this part was from that, and
yes,
it doesn't look super. It's not super polished yet, but and that makes sense. It makes a lot of. That is a challenge because there's so many good ideas. Today I was at dinner, and one of the guys on the call was telling me about we got a new HVAC division. And one of the problems is got to get out to the people fast or you're going to lose it. Well, this guy said this HVAC company came out and they couldn't get to me, but they gave me 2 window units to keep me cool while they were ordering my unit. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Like,
right.
And that's a little Frankenstein move from another HVAC company. I'm going to try to stick in our HVAC company. So thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Cody, tell me what your biggest challenge is. I need to unmute you. Running Masters besides Chad.
Oh man, I was going to say it's trying to keep up with Chad's vision.
Yeah. So Chad said he's doing great, and then also Chad said Octavio's putting lipstick on his monster. So Cody, tell me what it's like running. What's the biggest challenges for you running and doing what you do?
Honestly, my biggest challenge for me is time management. I will take on probably a little bit more in the day than can honestly be done. And by the end of the day, if I don't get every little thing checked off on my list, I just kind of beat myself up and it's like, I didn't do this one thing, or I forgot to call this one customer. And it's time management, I think, is the biggest thing right now, especially leading into this next season. Chad's been doing really great about taking feedback from everybody else, and so implement call form. Thanks to shameless plug, SureFire Academy. It's streamlined the whole training process a lot for me, so I can get the guys in, and that's really been, training was the biggest thing, and I think really is the hardest going forward. Like you guys said, the knowledge, but it was really refreshing. I've said it to multiple people. You take somebody that, like when I was hired, kind of like Jesse, I just knew that the fire went in the fireplace. He said that Santa came down the chimney. So to take somebody that's have that mindset and to be able to put them in front of the computer and get a few hours of SureFire training in them, and the first time that I take them out and I'm showing them a camera inspection and I'm showing them, we're getting the camera up there and I don't have to explain what a firebox, smoke chamber, and flue is, I don't have to explain those things when we're there.
Yeah.
Somebody new come to the field once you do get them hired, I think that is the biggest hurdle, is getting them to that knowledge point. So, yeah. But for me personally, definitely time management. That's something I need to work on.
Well, speaking of time management, now we have Timmy.
So, by the way, I want to do a quick shout out to John. He promised that he would do my little chimney time, and he nailed it. Thanks, Caesar.
Did. Thank you, Caesar. Thank you, King Noob. It's King Noob. Hail, King Noob.
King
Noob. So, thank you. I'm going to hit unmute here for these guys. So, Timmy, all right. Hey, welcome. Were you busy, Timmy?
Yeah. I was helping some customers make some hard decisions. So.
We're in the bad news business, unfortunately. It's we got to say, hey, good news. If you follow Alan Rush, good news. It's only this bad, right? So Timmy, we didn't get to get your history because I love your history in this business. Tell us a quick story about the Kneller. You're a third-generation chimney sweep, probably one of the very few in the country. You're one of the only guys, even that I know, that really wanted to be a chimney sweep. Most of us didn't. We got into this like, what the hell, or we got our hands around, and then we love it. But tell us a quick story about a third-generation chimney sweep out of America. Now, there's several of them in other countries, but out of the United States, there's not many.
So my mom has a picture that I drew in kindergarten somewhere of me with my dad on a roof, saying this is what I'm going to do. And yeah, I'm kind of humbled by these guys who actually, struggled and learned. And, Jesse, your story is awesome. It's humbling, man. You jumped right in with both feet, and I love that. The first time I helped my uncle sweep a chimney, I was 9 years old. So this is like part of what I've done my entire life. It's not that exciting, but at the same time, I love to climb. It does feel like it's in my blood. It's one of the things I love doing. And, being an expert, that's always great. Being an authority and being able to help spread knowledge that's not every day. And like Jonah said, most people don't know we exist. So that's kind of exciting. And for sure, I just love what I do. I actually emailed you or Jonah some photos of my grandfather, pictures that were taken of him 2 weeks before I was born, over 32 years ago at this point, sweeping a large industrial stack. He's sticking out of the top 70 feet in the air with a top hat waving in the air. It's just something I've grown up around and truly love and wanted to do my entire life. So
that's an awesome. That's great. I mean, that's just such a rare story, and we're glad to have it, especially in just such a young industry like we are. Well, real quickly, Timmy, to finish up on the line of questions that I asked the other guys, what are some of the biggest challenges that you find, managing and running a chimney company today, other than hiring? So we're going to take hiring off the table. What is your biggest challenge? And then the next question I'm going to ask you guys next is some like new things that you guys might use that could help other people. But Timmy, tell me what your biggest challenge is.
So hiring, no, I'm just kidding. But to me, I'm just going to be open and honest. There's a lot of voices around the chimney industry right now, and so knowing who to listen to and knowing who to trust, knowing who to be influenced by. Jonah will tell you I'm a really easily influenced person. I trust people first. I love people. That's another part of my heritage. I love people. I love helping people get to a better place. I love helping people learn something. And so I want to learn. And, so that's kind of the challenge right now in the industry, if you ask me, is learning who to be influenced by, who has the track record of success, who has the correct technical knowledge and practical knowledge and positive message to help you move ahead as well. So
I think that's very valid. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's even there's a lot of people talking, which is what we need. I have found that the majority of the people in the industry do mean well. We just have different tactics to get there. And some guys are more business people. Some people are more technical. And you do have to, if you want something different than your business, you got to pick some guidepost out there and pick, somebody to follow to try to, probably be more like. So like for me, and I say it all the time, Jim Brewer was a big part of where I went. When I could see what, where he was, I could say, okay, I'm going to do that. And then, so you guys out there, let's talk about that real quick. That's a great topic. Let's talk about mentorship and what it's done for you. Not necessarily the mentors themselves, but how important is mentorship to each one of you guys? Let me start with Jonah. I'm just going to keep going back and forth. So Jonah, tell me, I know, one of the favorite things I like about all these guys on here is they are avid learners, and they have gotten education. They understand how important education is and how important systems are. So Jonah, tell me about mentorship, if that's what you look for.
Okay. So I've actually got a lot of experience with having a mentor and also being a mentor. I won't get super crazy into it, but part of my story is recovering from alcoholism. And so being in a 12-step program, you have to seek somebody that has something that you want. And so that's, to me, the first step. If I was going to ask Mark to be my mentor, I've got to really look at his life and talk to him and figure out who he is and ask myself if I want what he has. The answer is yes. Then I'm basically just going to subject myself to asking for his advice, but mostly his experience, strength, and hope in whatever, areas of my life that I'm lacking in. And that's what I learned, in that part of my life, and I'm still in that part of my life, of course. But then, being a mentor, you've got to be able to do, you've got to be able to talk to people in a way that isn't judgmental, but is coming from a place of experience, strength, and hope. Because, if with some of the guys that we have here, in our branch, even, they want to learn, they're hungry to learn. And I think a big thing for being a mentor to somebody is knowing where to draw the line between being really hard on somebody and taking it easy. I think it's a hard line to dance, and a lot of us have a really hard time doing that. And I think a lot of us have also been burned, especially in the trades, with older men, in particular, just beating the crap out of us verbally. And that's my experience. And what I want to be able to do as a leader is be different and be able to be a mentor for the guys that come into our branch and teach them how to succeed the way that I was able to succeed and the way that I'm, going to continue to succeed, basically. And that's all that really is me taking what my mentors have passed down to me, basically. It's nothing that I came up with. Like, and I'm going to tell people that all the time. Like, I did not come up with this stuff. I'm not a genius. It's just, I learned from this guy and I learned from that guy, and, it is what it is. And it worked for me. And I think it might work for you if you're willing to do the work,
Yes, dude, thank you for sharing that. So good. Very good stuff. But before I move on, I'm going to read some of the comments. Kyle says, me too. First time I helped my dad sweep a chimney, I was 8 or 9, maybe younger. I can't remember. So Kyle's been in a long time. I don't know why it says Facebook user says, being that kind of person is the way you win. John Caesar says, listen to everyone. Take the good, leave the bad. Figure out what works for you and your business and run with it. Exactly right. It's like eating peanuts, right? You take the peanut out of the middle and you throw the shells out. And everybody isn't going to tell you everything you want to hear. When you do that, you got to say, is there a grain of truth in that? Is there something I need to learn from that? When they're giving me something that I don't like, do I need to learn something from that, or is it just garbage? And that sometimes is the hard discernment of advice. But it is true. Whenever somebody comes at me with something critical or whatever, I have to first look at myself first, not be defensive, not put up the shield. Like, is there truth in it? And there's absolutely truth in it. And there's sometimes I have to defend it and push back and go, well, you don't know the whole thing. But that's definitely a good point of mentorship. A couple more things. Says Mark does provide excellent advice. I know that firsthand. I wish I knew who that was. And then Mark, it's Chris Tomlin, Smoke Alert. Yeah, apparently I need to log in. Okay, hey Chris. Yeah, Chris runs a great operation too. And then Alan Rush says there's a reason the best athletes in the world still have coaches. You are never there. In parentheses, the moment you stop learning and growing is the moment you start dying. It couldn't have been better said. That's exactly right. Anybody else have a mentorship story or mentorship thought that they want to share? Cody, I'll unmute. Yeah, go ahead, Cody. There you go. Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
When I first started, Chad had always told me that I could always call him with any questions, and he was always there for us, and he still is to this day. But something that I like to tell all my new hires when I bring them on, and something that I believe very strongly in, because I've talked with Alan, Mark, you and I have talked before. It's when you get into this industry, you're never alone. And I tell everybody, it's a brotherhood around the world. You can post a question, you get a lot of really good answers, and there's always going to be a few sour apples in the bunch. But for the most part, I think we're all really here to help each other. And if you pose an honest question and you put it out there, there's always somebody willing to help. That's like with Caesar doing his mentorships that he's doing now, that kind of stuff. There's always somebody there to help you, and it's amazing the feedback that you can get when you just put something out there. I always like to consider the mentorship is like being a parent without all the responsibility. You get to send them home at the end of the day, and
and you get to cheer them on when they're winning, right? There's nothing
exactly
like mentoring somebody and they start winning, and you're like, man, it feels just as good as if you were winning.
Right. And to Alan's point, his last comment, my grandfather always said that if you don't learn at least one new thing every day, you're not paying close enough attention.
Oh, so true. I mean, it's everywhere. The lessons in life, you just got to open your eyes. They're everywhere. So
Absolutely.
good. Thank you. Octavio or Jesse, do you have guys? Yeah, I'll just go around the horn. I'll go do that again. Hang on. Let me bring you on. Yeah, go ahead, Octavio.
Well, I do. I think I have many. But the one that, really sticks with me, and, it's a part, it's part of my story is, there's always been a point where I figure out, okay, I can't move past this obstacle. There's gotta be, I can see that, everyone else is doing, good, and people are helping each other, but I need to find the right person. So that's what I did, with you, Mark. I saw you online, on Facebook, I think it was, and I followed your posts, and I had never gone to the convention, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna find Mark. So I did. I found you.
I remember somebody come walking up behind me and said, "You need to meet this guy." And I remember that.
So because I had been asking, Mark, how can I meet him? And, so yeah, he helped me out. And, since that moment, to me, that was the one of the best moments in my career, because I was working out of a little storage room, and, that I was renting, and my mind couldn't, believe that I could do, greater things. And really? I think a lot of what mentorship does to, with if it's done right, it makes you believe, it helps you believe in yourself. And they were just, they just mentioned, being kind, but being stern, and telling you this is what you have to do in order to make it happen. So when you invited me out to come out and be with you in your facility, your company, for 2 days, that was just amazing that someone could do that for me, and take that time, because I know you're super busy, like we all are, but you gave me your time, right? To me, that was amazing. And I think I've mentioned it to you a bunch of times. That was the moment that I realized that, things can, I can make things happen, and there's no impossible. So, and I've been trying to do it. The funny thing is, I've been trying to do the same thing for others. Whenever I get a chance, that's, I just got to pay it forward.
Well, thank you for that. It's tough, right? A mentor, I can help, me or other mentors can help you see the problem, but it's you that's got to get through it a lot of times. And then sometimes the mentor's on the other side saying, come on, only a few more feet, just get to the other side. You'll be okay. Just, keep swimming. And that's what a good mentor will do. They will cheer you on, and they will then also show you there's a path. Just keep fighting, keep, getting through it. And I think you just hit on something, Octavio, that is so important. And I believe in my heart that you guys will all do this, which is you guys are all reach back and help others. I know that's in every one of your hearts, that that's what's very unique about this industry, is that we do help each other a lot. And I remember John Mayer, who's a mentor of mine, said, Sooty Bob, or Bob Daniels, who started the Copperfield Company, said, we are trying to build a culture of honor with this industry. And that culture of honor is to always be of service and to help other people in the industry to get better. Because I don't know, there's something special about it. I can tell you, I'm in HVAC too, and nobody cares about you. I've been in several other businesses. You want to talk about cutthroat business, you get in a chocolate business and nobody cares at all about you. But somehow this chimney business, we do care. Now, we might fight like brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers, but we also do really care. And that if you look through the arguments, you talk about how do you look through the argument, see if you look through the argument, the truth is everybody really does care. They just want to show you a different way, or they think a little bit differently. There's really not bad people in this industry. Like I shouldn't say it. In the group that's really trying to educate and do better, it's a bunch of good people. Now there's scammers in this business like there are everywhere else, but it's a good industry, and you guys are that next generation to do that. So Jesse, you recently volunteered. You recently got brought on the CSIA board. You are trying to pay it forward at this point. Brand new, got on. What has mentorship been like for you, and who are some of the mentors in your life?
Yeah, it's
yeah. Go ahead,
man. Yeah, when I first started, one of the things I've always done in my life is try to learn from other people walking into a wall. I'm like, I'd much rather learn from their experiences than walk into the same wall if I don't have to. So to me, when I got into the industry, I told you guys all how I got into it. I got into the phone book and I looked up chimney companies in our area, and I called and asked if I could take the owners out for a cup of coffee. Out of all the phone calls I made, I got one yes. Nobody else would let me take him out for coffee. I was like, whatever. But that one guy, you guys have probably all heard of him. His name is Steve Scally. He was someone who was always just willing to share what he knew, which was awesome. You know, for someone so young in the industry, I needed help. And so I like learning from other people's experiences. I feel it's the fastest way to gain the knowledge, and it's the most accurate in my opinion, because it's real life experience. So as far as mentoring, Mark, you're somebody who I've sought after. Been down to Tennessee. That was a wonderful experience. I've actually been able to start helping out my brother-in-law and his company now in similar ways. And I have two other friends out in Montana that I've been doing the same. So it's kind of cool being able to share some of those experiences, just what you learn from others in the industry. But I think it's really cool how the chimney side of things and like the group of people, because when I first got into it, I felt like I was all by myself, and I had this one guy that would at least let me take him out for coffee. And now I feel like you can just get on and anybody's just willing to share, willing to give away their information. It's not like we're holding it on saying, oh, this is proprietary, like nothing like that. It's really cool. And I do like the, teaching of it and showing, my employees or, being on the mechanical board in New Hampshire. I'm like, these guys, they're all brilliant minds in the plumbing industry and HVAC, but none of them have a clue about drafting. And so it's like, I feel like I'm teaching them all this stuff, and it's fun. But, coming onto the CSIA board, I mean, this is something that John talked to me about, that he was on it for a while. And you guys all know how it is. We're all just so busy. And in my mind, I kept thinking, yeah, I'll tell him when I get a chance, I'll tell him. And there was this one day I was just driving back to the shop, and I was like, I should just let him know I'm available. And I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, but it was like 2 days later, he called me and he's like, hey, so you still interested? So I'm looking forward to seeing what, being on that board does, but I have a lot of knowledge in my head that I like to share.
Yeah. Well, you guys are the next group of mentors. I mean, you guys are it. And I'm excited for you guys to be it. And a couple of quick comments. I think John Caesar agrees. Steve is the man. And then Chad says there's a reverse reaction from you noobs with us. You rejuvenate us too. And that's true. Like, the next step of true joy in this is to hand off and watch others succeed. And so that's super important. And I know you guys are that generation. I say generation, but you guys are like, I don't know what we're going to call it. The new generation is going to do the next level work and carry that on. So let me ask you, we have got about 10. I know Jesse too. He has a soccer game. Do you still got that soccer game you got to get to?
We actually have some storms coming through, so they got canceled.
Okay. Well, he was in a bit of a rush. So let me ask you a couple more questions and we'll be done for the night. And if anybody has questions for the new guys, please put them in the chat so I can ask these guys. But Let me ask you, what do you see? For me, a lot of the change in the business is going, we used to sweep chimneys all the time. That was our main business by far. We got in, we swept a lot of chimneys. And that in my business it's not the business we are. Now I know there are some companies that still do a ton of chimney sweeping, but everybody also now has seen, I always say we're the Swiss Army knife of the home services industry, because we're like, oh, we can do this and we can do that. We got a spoon and we got a toothpick and we can do all these things. So tell me where you guys think the industry is going to go in the next 10 to 20 years. I know that might be a hard question, and I'll ask anybody if they have a feel for what you think is going to happen. Raise your hand and I'll unmute you. I'll go with Jonah and then Cody. Yeah.
I'll tell you just what I would love to see happen in the coming years at some point is the level 2 inspection on a real estate transaction be like legitimately required, because it puts us in a bind that would have been, if I got to answer the last question, that would have been one of my biggest struggles. I'm a guy that's really passionate about real estate. That's where I want to end up. And so Timmy and I both have had a really difficult time learning how to navigate those situations without any guidance, really, because every single one of them is different. And so there's not one play card that you can go off of, especially in a real estate transaction, because the buyers are the buyers and the sellers are the sellers, but every time there's a different set of circumstances. And every time we're more of an a-hole than the last, it seems like. And so I would just love to see that change happen, because I feel like it would make our lives a lot easier day to day in a lot of cases. I know that Timmy and I talk about it all the time, like, if this happens and that happens and we get this and we get that, then everything will be great. I know it's not gonna solve everything, but I feel like it would alleviate one giant headache for the entire industry, and we could help impact and really prevent a lot of headaches for the people that we're serving as well. You're muted.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's Chad actually posted a comment that says that I don't know that we own vacuums.
That's funny.
If any of Chad's coaching, clients are watching right now, one of his favorite things to do is to call me up, be like, "Hey, are you driving?" It's like, "Yes." It's like, "I've got so and so with such and such chimney company on the line. Can you tell them how many chimneys you swept last year?" Be like, 9. But absolutely, I've been trying to push with all of our regular realtors, making that level 2 inspection mandatory. We've even said, if every house you sell going forward uses us, trying to work some kind of a deal just to make it habit and just get it into it, so that going forward, we're getting in there. Just, it's not just one standard home inspector. There's a lot of trashing on some home inspectors and whatnot that goes on the Facebook forums. But if they're going to continue on looking at chimneys, either requiring they become certified or passing that part of it off to us, I think is huge.
Yeah. To be clear, I don't want to make it sound like I was trashing any home inspectors, because we have made a lot of really good connections and headway on that front with building relationships with home inspectors. We're taking these guys out to lunch and they love us because it's one less liability that they have to worry about at the end of the day too. They hate messing with chimneys.
We're helping them add to their verbiage a lot, recommending that a level 2 inspection be required as per the NFPA 211.
So Jim Brewer just put in here, mandatory level 2 inspections would have to be achieved at the local or state level.
Hey, man.
So that's so I'm going to have to mute some mics. There's still that feedback. But so to your point, Jonah, that is exactly the challenge, and it's a huge business opportunity on the chimney side. But it's if they will do it, if the state would do it, if the local level would require it, it would change our whole industry. Imagine a chimney sweep has to be part of every home sale in your area. Then it's a huge boon for our business and the legitimacy of our trade, right? If you had that part of their language then there's a more legitimate need for us and therefore a huge opportunity. Kyle says, yeah, I hate coming in a week after a customer bought the house and now they're getting the level 2 and you find $20,000 in issues. Also, the chimney's not functional, especially today, man. People are doing all these home buys without inspections, and man, we're coming in later and hitting them with a freaking ton of bricks. And then so let me just get to Chris Tomlin says, hey, if you guys have never done it, realtors do meetings before COVID. Every week, you buy them all breakfast and make a presentation about how to educate them and add value to their transactions. The messed up part is the buyers will avoid you and the sellers will cling to you. Yeah, so we've all seen that. That's exactly a great tactic. So, Octavio, tell me what you want. Maybe though Cody didn't tell us what he thought was coming. I think he went off of. I think you went off of Jonas. What do you think? Would you like to see in the future in this industry?
Really, I think we've talked about it before in a lot of the online forums, but being recognized as an honest service industry, not as something that's an optional, off to the side, the required camera inspections. And when it comes to the pricing and what's expected of us and what's expected of our service and what's expected of what we can provide. But, it's when the HVAC guy comes in and I think I'm much the one that said this before, but when the HVAC guy or the electrician comes in, those are major utilities. Especially here in the South, you're not going to go a week with no air conditioning, and you're not going to go a day without electricity. And when an electrician walks in and says, "By the way, we need to pull the whole panel, and we need to strip all this wire out, and here's a bill for $54,000," it's okay. We need to get that done. But when we walk in and we talk to them about their fireplace, you hand them that estimate, the recommendations, Alan. When you hand them the recommendations and you're talking to them about, okay, this is, now we need to drop in a stainless steel liner and parts of the smoke chamber, blah, 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 and here's your $18,000 estimate. They're like, well, can't we do something cheaper? Isn't what if I switch to gas logs? That kind of stuff. So I think educating the customer more, and then in doing it as an industry total, all building that recognition that what we do is just as important as any other service industry that they might have come out.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, over in Germany, the chimney sweeps are the highest level of trades, and if the chimney sweep says you have to do it, then you have to do it. The other side of that is that if you have the ability to shut somebody down and say you have to do it, you also can't really be the one to fix it. Like there's a conflict of interest. So I do like the idea of having a mandatory inspection, but I've had some talks with guys who said, I want to be able to shut them down. If it's unsafe, I want to be able to red tag it and shut them down. And I don't think we actually want that ability. We want to be able to advise and then repair if they want. So, Octavio, tell us about what you see in this industry, or the biggest problems you see in this industry.
So I think the beauty of what we're able to do here in the United States is that you can do just about anything. Just like you said, Mark, we can do this and we can do that. And now I've got a new service I can offer and everything. So to me, one of the things that I see coming is I couldn't believe the first time I went out to the convention, I started talking to, different companies and, technicians, and, some people only did sweeping,
Right.
and other technicians only did, certain things. See, I guess I started a little bit backwards because I was in masonry, and then I was a hearth, installer, and then I became a chimney sweep. So for me, it was never the case. So what I would love to see is that that you can actually show up and they don't have to call the hearth company down the street, because that's the only thing they do. As an industry, I think that becoming like a hybrid, company that can actually do everything,
Yes.
and in-house, that would be excellent. And I think it can be achieved, because I think that most new business owners, most new chimney guys are now becoming business owners.
To your point, the way we achieve that is better marketing and better messaging to the community. If we say we're chimney sweeps all the time, they think we're chimney sweeps, and that's all they think of.
Right.
If we change that terminology as, yes, sweeping is part of what we do, but our marketing and our messaging has to be bigger to make people think of us differently. And my COO Ken, when he's hiring and when we're talking, he says chimney's a dirty word. We don't use it. We don't, especially a chimney sweep is a dirty word. Now, that's not disrespectful. It's just understanding that people coming into the industry and people thinking about us need to think of us differently. And that's probably your guys' next legacy. Like, a lot of us got it off the ground. Your guys' thing is, how do we message next level? And that's, and Kyle said, which is a great point. That's why he named himself his, Alpine Chimney Service. And, I did the same thing years ago. I had chimney sweep in my name, and it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it is very limiting when the way people think of you. But I also watch a lot of marketing, and sweeping is still a big part of their marketing. I think for you guys, and to your point, Octavio, you didn't even come from a sweep background, but our marketing and messaging has to be very clear that is a service we provide, but we are, we're all encompassing, and we are if it has to do with the chimney at all, as Kyle says, we service all things chimney. We are fire construction specialists. There's messaging out there that we really have to focus on to keep our industry growing, because as you can see, and as you guys all feel, we're all as busy as we've ever been because of all the additional services we do. And we've all been asked to do these things, and we're getting really good at it. So,
yeah. One more thing, if you don't mind me saying it.
Yeah.
I think that the next level, for the chimney industry, and I think it's going to be, amazing to watch. Right now, we know who are the biggest companies in the industry, and we look up to you. But I think that what's happening is we're not going to be the chimney sweep, guy with 2 helpers, doing it for 30 years anymore. We're going to be the businessman with 30, 50 trucks, and now if you multiply that, all throughout the United States, it's going to become an army. And that's what excites me.
I love your vision. I think you're completely right. That is exactly, it's flipped from, hey, one guy and a couple of helpers, or two trucks. 3 trucks is like max. That is going to be, that's always going to be part of it. It's part of every industry. You can be a plumber, you can be an electrician, be small. But when you see what other companies have done, I've said this a bunch of times, that there's an HVAC company in Nashville that has 900 trucks. There's Kent and I were talking about a home services company out of the north. I can't think of the name of them. They were an $800 million company, Power Home Restoration or something. But I mean, there's some big money moving into this industry. And the more you position yourself as a business, the better you are going to be set up to do more in the future. But thank you for adding that. Anything else, Octavio?
No, that's it.
So real quick before I get to Jesse, Caesar says, I used to finish sweeping a chimney, then tell the customer they needed a rebuild and new liner, and they'd ask, okay, who do you recommend? The customer needs to know we do more than sweep. 100%, John. Kurt Felgemacher, my good buddy, I'm getting to see him next week. I agree with you, Octavio. Kurt has been on the show before, and it started from the masonry side and moved into the chimney side, a lot like you, Octavio. And then Kyle says Horizon HVAC is $1 billion blue collar business. And Jim Brewer says the industry is growing up. I love the new reality, and so do I. I think Jim says it perfectly. Jesse, I'm going to close out with you. What do you see as the biggest opportunities or even headaches? What do you see coming for us?
Gosh, I don't like being the one to close. I had a couple of the other points there that would have been good. I guess for me, I focus a lot in New Hampshire of, how things are viewed, and going back to your level 2 and how it should be a requirement and how it could be, to me, I'm like, I would love, now that I'm getting into the state side of things and being able to talk to some of those people, is to make it to where we would be recognized as an industry. I told you guys all before, I was an electrician, and I know the schooling that it takes to become an electrician. I was about 3 months from becoming a master electrician at one point, and before I was about done. So I know the schooling that goes into it. And I feel like we have so much more schooling, so much more knowledge to be obtained. And I feel like we're kind of overlooked there's so many bright minds in this industry. And, like what you guys are talking about, how to brand yourself. We're in life and property preservation. It's like we save people's lives, carbon monoxide. We save people's homes, from fire. If you ask somebody like, hey, like, how much would you pay for peace of mind? And there isn't a single person that wouldn't just pay anything. I would love peace of mind. Just go to sleep at night and not have anything on my mind. What do I have to pay? I'll sign the check. And to me, I'm like, that's what we do for our customers. We've just had this crazy amount of rain these last few months. And it's like, for a customer to know that they're not going to get, their ceiling coming in on them because we've taken care of the chimney, or, the appliance isn't going to cause the house to burn down. Just so many things like that. To me, I would really love to be recognized for the knowledge that we have, and that we would be able to, just go in and, kind of like what John just wrote on there, it's like, well, who do you recommend? It's like, well, that's us. That's what we do, So to me, I'm like, I see that as a challenge in front of us. And especially, I swear there could be a guy selling hot dogs down the street and he says he sweeps chimneys too. So I'm like, the type of people that are out there, it would be nice to make it to where there is some sort of a line that, has to be drawn so that the people who go in and do what they're doing, the customer knows that if they just paid to have a professional come in, that they're getting a professional job and that they do have that peace of mind. So,
yeah, it's a great point. The hard thing about, some of us have been in for a while is, do you raise the bar? Do you make it harder and have fewer people be able to get the certification? Do you make the whole step harder and longer and then not be able to get people in as easy? Or do you lower the bar and the first step is much easier? That's been an argument. I'm always for trying to raise the bar, but I'm also, I've already got my foot on the bar. So, that's the point of some of these different, certifications and things. Some are easier and harder to get, but I think, the key to all of it is more education. I think you guys are a perfect example of more education. Yeah, Cody, let me unmute you. Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of on that point, I think something that would also be a good positive change, and I don't know how many people would agree with this, but we've got so many companies like the repair company, don't pay us anything, let us take a look at it, We'll get your insurance involved. We'll kind of take it from there. Roofers, they go knocking on doors. Hey, we had a hailstorm. Let us take a look at it. I think if we could find a way to get more involved with the insurance companies, I think that would be a huge step forward for us. Getting in there, hey, we're out here. Some companies still like to knock doors. Chad tells the story all the time about a guy that went and sold something like $80,000 in a weekend in huge chimney cap sales. Knock on the door. If you're across the street and you see somebody that doesn't have a chimney cap, hey, can I put a camera in the chimney real quick? And, give them a little pitch, get it up there. Let me get with your insurance company, try and make that next step easier for the homeowner, I think would be a huge step forward as well.
I think, there's been a couple great points brought up tonight. One is state types of, involvement, but also more involvement internally, what you can do. If we're always out there saying, man, if somebody would just do this or somebody would just do that, stuff's not going to happen. But if you will do something, if you will go to the realtors and talk to them, if you will go to the insurance companies, you never know where that opens up into. And sometimes it's the right. Now, as industries, there's tasks that we do as volunteers and also as organizations that try to push that through too. But you never know where that's going to come from. And, just like Jonah and Timmy were saying, in their area, they're starting to get traction of, hey, you need to have these guys look at it. It can, kind of save your bacon, if you will. But, that is really what you can do, and what we can do is just do something, Let's see. So let me say, I think we're a little bit over time, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Let me just I'm going to open up the mics. Does anybody else have something before we go, and then I'll take you guys off being back or off of the show.
I'm just honored to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for having me. Same.
Well, guys, I bet it's going to go crazy on the feedback if all the mics are open. All right, guys, thank you so much. You guys are the future of what we're doing. I think we are in good hands as an industry. If the industry is like you guys, we have a very bright future. I think that you guys, I think just to put a button on this, is you guys understand the importance of education. You guys understand the importance of a process in the business to get people educated. We understand that, being thrown in a van with a brush and say, here's your list of jobs and go sweep them is probably not the best way. And I can tell you it happened to Jesse, what happened to me too. And I think you guys have to build the future and take that onto your shoulders a little bit and understand that there's a need for that. And I got a couple last fine things. Scott Scraper says, new pride. And then Thomas says, nice job. And Kirk Felgemacher says, good job. And Kyle says, thanks, everyone. All right, guys, I'm going to say bye to you and close out the show. Thank you, guys. Oh, my gosh. I love that. I hope you guys loved it. So exciting for these guys. I feel like I felt like I was just getting more excited as I was talking to them, and I hope you felt that too. That's a good sign. That's a good sign that these guys get it. That we're going to go down the right road. There's always that fear that people building big businesses are going to get greedy and be bad for the industry. I totally disagree with that. I think these bigger companies have more opportunities for people. I think they can service customers better. I think you can have more products and more ability to help to spread out. One guy doesn't have to know how to do absolutely everything. You've got divisions, you've got people, you got specialists, you got career paths. You've got the real ability to build real businesses and real futures for guys who like blue collar work. And as we've seen, there's a I don't want to hear any crap about next generation doesn't work or they won't work. That's all BS. There are great people out there. If you can't get people to work for you, you might need to look in the mirror. Okay, that's a fact. If they're out there, you might need to change your systems. You might need to figure out something different and be more attractive to have employees like these guys. And if you're an owner, listen to Octavio and Jesse on what they're doing and get with those guys about the first steps. And also King Noob, John will help you get over these steps. And that's how we get better, guys. That's how we do this. So with that, thank you for joining us on SureFire Live. We will be back next Tuesday night, and we will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.